All right, what's going on, guys? Some of you guys are telling me to check out this video by this guy named Prime Pete. It's called "Stop Playing BO6 100% Proof." So I figured I would go ahead and give it a watch for the first time and record myself and see what my thoughts are. So let's get right into it.
What up? It's Prime Pete. It's that time of year to bring to
What
everyone's
up?
attention once again. Call of Duty is not the beloved game it once was. What was
All right.
once everyone's favorite first-person arcade shooter is now a shell of its former self. It's
Yeah, I mean, I already agree with this. Like, I don't even have to know anything about Black Ops 6 to tell you that, is the sky blue kind of thing, right? It's like Call of Duty hasn't been the same, in my opinion, since I think Call of Duty 4 up until like Black Ops 2 was the golden era of Call of Duty, in my opinion. I'll give an exception to Advanced Warfare because I actually liked Advanced Warfare. I don't think it was obviously the same. It's not the same as like the golden era of Call of Duty, but I actually quite enjoyed Advanced Warfare. I will say that was like when that kind of slipped under the rug for me. But the golden era for me is COD 4 to Black Ops 2. Anything beyond that is kind of just not really the same.
corporately owned, manipulative, monetized, and rigged video game that has the same logic as slot machines or claw machines do. The game is designed to
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, it's once again, it's a billion-dollar company that's controlling the software, so they're probably going to do whatever they can to make as much money as possible. And then, yeah, for those of you who don't know, like in slot machines and casinos and claw games, the code is it's set up in a way that like the machines will only give like victory to the customer when they already have a good return for the amount of times the machine's been interacted with. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, so if you're playing a claw game and then the value of the products in the claw game are like $10, the machine will not let you win the game until $10, at least $10, maybe even double $10 or whatever, has been consumed by the machine by various other like users of the machine. So there's probably something similar going on, yeah, with the Call of Duty algorithms.
drip feed you dopamine and keep you addicted by any means possible in order for you to buy as many microtransactions as possible. So I'm not going to waste your time. TLDR,
right, let's get into
Call of Duty is rigged. And I'm going to rapid fire all of the evidence you need to know that the game is entirely fake and manipulative, and Black Ops 6 is the worst iteration of this system yet. I've got 5 major points as to why this game is rigged and the proof behind it. Here we go.
Ooh, what's number 3? Number 3 is like bright red.
Number 1, the patents. So we have patents made by Activision that detail the manipulation of in-game parameters.
Okay, we got some patents here. I'm going to pretend like I know what these things on the screen are. Modify, aggregate skill level of data. Modify one or more parameters of the game session. Present customized data to all players via game console. Okay, I'm assuming it's just like a patent that goes over like a specific algorithm that they're like implementing kind of on the back ends or whatever. So, I mean, I'm just going to take this at face value and assume that this patent actually exists. Because I think I've heard about this before, and a lot of people were talking about this. Degree of accuracy. Yeah, so it looks like it's rating you based on your skill level, or it's like categorizing you. And then there's different parameters that you can kind of feed it to like, okay, interesting. Number of challenging. I'm just reading through all this stuff in my head here. Okay. So it's like a bunch of parameters that you can take in, and then the game will manipulate certain factors to, yeah, whatever. I don't even really know. I'm just kind of rambling at this
players
point.
of certain skill levels. There are also more than one of these, which would suggest that Activision is interested in continuing this technology because that's how patenting works. As far as these systems go,
I mean, guys, if there's a
appears that they're able
patent
to
for it, if it's a legit patent that they have that you can like search it up and find it, I mean, I don't know what other proof you really need. Like, they're obviously developing this kind of software. You don't get a patent for something that you're like not developing, you know?
manipulate your hitbox, your health, your damage, nerf you mid-match if you're doing too well, and in addition to that, there's a patent that boosts you and gives you easier matches if you purchase skins. For example, if you were
I don't even know how you would get patents for this stuff. That's one thing that I'm kind of interested in is, like, how do you even patent this kind of logic and to say that, hey, this is our logic that we own, so if any other games want to do it, you have to pay us like a royalty or something or a licensing fee to use our patent. That's kind of wild to me because it's like an algorithm, you know? It's not like it's a product. I mean, I guess
by
an
a
algorithm
sniper,
could be
you might get
considered a
matched against
product,
somebody
but-
who's not that good at sniping but is getting into sniping, so you can advertise that sniper skin. Long story short, your entire game experience is manipulated by either spending money or doing too well, and they'll just...
Guys, it's simple. Just spend money in the game and you'll get the damage boosters that you want.
nerf you in the
It's the easy
match. And the way a
solution,
patent process works is that you have to invest lots of money and lots of time into developing a patent. So for a patent to just be sitting there and not in use, as a lot of people argue, is just completely far-fetched. If Activision made this patent, there's a pretty good chance they're using it. With skill...
I mean, yeah, once again, I would agree. If there's a patent that actually exists and it's been proven for sure that it was, like, whatever, brought about by Activision, I mean, it's not like they're just doing that randomly for the fun of it, right? Because it costs money. There's obviously a very detailed explanation if you're looking at the patent with all the like different explanations of what it is they're trying to patent. So
skill-based damage also trending. It makes
I would
perfect
agree.
sense that this game has the worst iteration of it yet.
I would agree that that is
After all,
proof
the
that
skill
there's
ceiling is the highest in Black Ops 6, given
something
the
fishy
omni
going
movement
on
and the general fast pace of the game. So it would make perfect sense why the skill-based damage is so bad this year. But you are getting nerfed mid-match, and these patents show evidence. Second point, EOMM. You thought SBMM was the thing, skill-based matchmaking?
EOMM. Okay, what is this?
Yeah, you thought wrong, pal. It's actually EOMM, Engagement Optimized Matchmaking.
Engagement optimized matchmaking. Okay, let's hear about it.
Essentially just rigged matches that are meant to either be wins or losses. Originally, this was based on research from...
Okay, yeah. This is very similar. Like I've said in other videos, I think this is what is similar to League of Legends, in my opinion, where they like rig the game state to try to get you as a player to lose or win. Not saying that that's actually happening in League, but that's a huge controversy in League of Legends as well. So it's like for League, it's more about like they will manipulate the players that they put on your team, and they'll give you low win rate percent players in hopes that you have a higher percent chance of losing the game, kind of thing. So it sounds like something similar.
From UCLA that show that having rigged matches and a certain string of results actually keeps players retained longer than just basic skill-based matchmaking or connection-based matchmaking. And aside from being rigged, the problem with EOMM is that it sacrifices your ping because your pool of players that you can play with is so unbelievably small. That's why the
yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to affect like ease of finding like because the more constraints you put on the matchmaking, it's going to make it like more difficult to find players because you're constantly trying to find players that fit a specific criteria to like push your algorithm or whatever to, you know, have this engagement based matchmaking system. So as opposed to if you just didn't have any parameters in place, so you just let people find each other like kind of naturally, like it's just going to probably have a performance hit.
Match times are so long, and that's why you're searching for match.
I wouldn't even be surprised if like they're putting bots in your games too. That's another thing I've thought about is like not only is this stuff probably going on, but they might even be putting like literal AI on like your team or the enemy team potentially. So that's something to think about. I think Fortnite got caught doing that, right?
Above 40, 50, 60 ping if you're in the United States, and maybe even longer if you live outside of the country. The game is searching for a group of players that are stacked either with or against you to give you a win or a loss. And then if that's not happening, the game will just nerf you mid-match. In-game parameter manipulation and EOMM.
So it's funny. So it's funny because they're gonna nerf you in game mid match, right? That's what they're saying. I know I bring it back to League of Legends a lot, but that's like literally the game of League of Legends. It's pretty funny. Like without any of these modifications or anything, it's like League as a game is like the whole point of it is to like get stats that put you at a better state than your enemy. So it's kind of almost like Call of Duty is becoming League of Legends inadvertently, where like you're in a game and suddenly your enemy's just getting progressively stronger or you're getting progressively weaker. So, I mean, if you like that sort of thing, check out League of Legends because that's literally the fundamentals of League.
In combination with each other, create an algorithmically rigged system that forces you to either win or lose, and you have barely any control over it. Ultimately, EOMM shows that inconsistency breeds addiction. And if you don't believe me...
Inconsistency breeds addiction. Yeah, I would say so, because I'm just trying to think of me as a player, because I get very addicted to League of Legends when they do this, right? It's the same kind of thing where I'm doing pretty well, and then I'm feeling myself, and then suddenly I start doing bad or I start losing, and it's like, I just got to play. Let me just get one more W in. Let me get one more win in, you know? So I keep playing, and then it just plays with your emotions, essentially, to keep you hooked onto the game as long as possible. As opposed to if you were just, but still, though, if you were just stomping kids like 24/7, that's also fun, too. But I guess that assumes or makes it so somebody is getting stomped on the other end, and then maybe they're not having as much fun, and then they log off the game kind of thing, so... I don't know.
Let's jump to point number 3. Their blog post dodging the accusations about everything.
All right, dodging accusations. Yeah, this is another thing I was saying. It's like, dude, just own up to whatever they're... Like, if someone's accusing you of something, just directly answer yes or no. It's like simple as that. I think a lot of people don't like when there's like a political-esque response to something, you know what I'm saying? Where like a politician dodging a question kind of deal. So, I mean, just answer the question, yes or no. I have a feeling people would be even more receptive to it if they just blatantly said, yeah, we're doing this, deal with it. Obviously, people wouldn't like that, but it would be better than kind of like beating around the bush or dancing around the subject.
Everything I just said. Activision should be on Dancing with the Stars because you have never seen better moves than this. Question number 1. Does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, damage, etc.? No, our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay elements.
They
Okay.
just directly asked them right there. Jeez. So he said, no, our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay elements. Okay, that seems like a straightforward answer, though. What's the problem?
So in what world does the matchmaking process impact any in-game elements whatsoever? Last time I checked, matchmaking just makes the matches. So to pretend that that's somehow an answer to that question...
Did I misread that? Hold on. Does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, damage, etc.? No, our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay. Wait, why is that not an answer? I'm confused on that one. Maybe because I'm like on the spot right now watching this. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. But aren't they literally saying like, no, our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay? Like, isn't that like a pretty straightforward answer?
Is ludicrous. It's absurd. They're completely dodging the question by using legal speak and lawyers present in order to...
No, our matchmaking process. Oh, so maybe they're getting hung up. Wait, but that's what they asked. They just asked, like, does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact? So they're referring to it by saying, no, our matchmaking process does not impact. So to me, this seems like they're just answering the question that was asked. But I can maybe understand why people are getting upset that they're trying to like cover it with, oh, our matchmaking process doesn't do that. But then there's like a bunch of other stuff that does that we're not going to tell you about. So maybe that's why they're getting upset.
To make sure that they're dodging every accusation without actually answering the question. So that's question number 1 danced around. Question 2. Does spending money on Call of Duty content such as bundles, battle pass, or black sale change how players are matched? Money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into matchmaking. Did you catch it? That means money spent, not cosmetics owned, not cosmetics worn. For example, if little Timmy spends $50 and little Johnny spends $100, they're not going to be matched any differently. However, if they're wearing those skins, if they just bought those skins, then that will affect their matchmaking.
Wait. Okay, hold on. I've been with you guys on up until this point. I just want to see this one again. Does spending money on Call of Duty on Call of Duty content such as bundles, battle pass, or black cell, which I'm assuming is like a battle pass type thing or something, change how players are matched? Money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into matchmaking. But I feel like they're answering the question, though, are they not? Because they said does spending money, blah 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 blah, and then they're saying money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into matchmaking. So that's an interesting one. So let me hear what his rebuttal is, because I feel like they're being pretty direct here with how they're answering.
Money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into matchmaking. Did you catch it? That means money spent, not cosmetics owned, not cosmetics worn. For example, if little Timmy spends $50 and...
I mean, I guess. Okay, I see he's saying like, that's not... So I get that they're probably... I think the Call of Duty community is hoping to hear a response that's more of, there is no funny business going on with the algorithm that is affecting your gameplay, your matchmaking, or anything. That's probably what the Call of Duty community wants to hear, I'm assuming. And they're getting hung up on this because they're just taking this one little word and saying, well, that thing doesn't affect like the gameplay or the matchmaking. And then it sounds like Prime Pete here is saying that, well, what about all this other stuff? But I mean, so it's a weird one because I think they are directly answering the question that's being asked to them. But yeah, technically it could leave room for interpretation that like, well, what about all this other stuff?
Little Johnny spends $100, they're not going to be matched any differently. However, if they're wearing those skins, if they just bought those skins, then that will affect their matchmaking as per this patent that matches players based on cosmetics.
Okay, hold on. I might be connecting the dots. System and method, because he's bringing up the patent now. So maybe it said in the patent, like, this is one of the factors that's going to affect your matchmaking or game experience is the wearing of cosmetics, which was, I guess, mentioned in the patent. And then therefore they were avoiding the question technically when it was asked of them if they're not talking about this kind of subject material. System and method is provided that drives microtransactions. The system may include a microtransaction, arrange matches to influence game-related purchases. For instance, the system may match a more expert mark player with a junior player to encourage the junior player to make game-related purchases of items possessed. I would just ask them like straight up about like the patents. I mean, has anyone asked them about the patents? Like, yo, like, why do you guys have these patents in place? You know what I'm saying? That's what I would be asking. So it's a weird one. I'm like 50-50. So I see that they are directly answering the questions, in my opinion, of what was asked of them, but they're not doing a service to anybody by going above and beyond to definitely clarify to everybody that, like, hey guys, we're not actually rigging the game. Don't worry. Like, they never did that. They kind of just gave the bare minimum answer. So I can kind of see where he's coming from if he's comparing it back to this the patent stuff.
In order to breed more microtransaction
that's
sales.
really what the
So
patents
long
are
story
saying.
short, this is question number 2 dodged because they can't be bothered to address the actual usage of cosmetics, and rather they just talk about the amount of money because that doesn't matter at all. And question number 3, does Call of Duty consider player engagement, time played, as a factor in matchmaking? We do not consider how often or how much you play when determining matchmaking.
Okay, does Call of Duty... Sorry, I'm slow, bro. I got to read this stuff. Does Call of Duty consider player engagement, time played, as a factor in matchmaking? We do not consider how often or how much you play when determining matchmaking. We do not consider how often. I mean, to me, once again, that's pretty direct, but I'll listen to the rebuttal. I like to try to be 50-50, you know?
Okay, seriously? So we redefine engagement as time played, even though it's more like player interest, player satisfaction, and then we say that it doesn't consider how much you play. The engagement in engagement optimized matchmaking does not talk about time played. It talks about player satisfaction and player investment. So in order to answer if the algorithm's actually engagement based, they first have to redefine engagement to mean something that we don't actually mean, and then answer the question that way. So it's 3 questions not answered, 3 questions danced around, and 3 questions dodged about the biggest accusations against them. They can't even give us a straight answer, so I'm leaning towards we are right and they're lying. Notice an
So this one, I mean, I'm tired, bro. Like, I haven't slept in a while, so maybe I'll let y'all run with that one. I'm like 50-50 on that one still, just because I think they were directly answering the questions asked of them, but in the context of the overall like patent that had a lot of other verbiage in there, yeah, it would have probably been better for them to just go like above and beyond, answer the question directly, and then just say, like, guys, we're not rigging your games. And the fact that they didn't answer in that manner is maybe indicative that they are indeed rigging your games, if that makes sense. I can see it 50-50. I'll remain on the fence 50-50 on that one.
In all these 3 questions, they use a Trojan horse or a scapegoat instead of actually answering the question. For example, skill-based damage, they use the matchmaking as a scapegoat because they can say the matchmaking doesn't do it, even though it doesn't do it anyways. In the microtransaction question, they use spending money instead of wearing skins as a scapegoat for answering that question, because the amount of money spent doesn't affect your matchmaking, rather it's the skins you're wearing. And the third scapegoat is redefining engagement as time played, because they know that time played isn't a factor in matchmaking, and that's not the kind of engagement we're actually talking about here. So if you don't believe my first 2 points, this third point should solidify that, because they're...
So the first 2 points, I was all about it. I got it. I was picking up what you're putting down. Third point, I get what you're trying to say, and once again, maybe my brain is just too tired to like interpret all this information. And you're speaking pretty fast, I gotta say. So you're quite the fast speaker. So am I. But I'll like look into this more. I'm actually kind of curious about this one. So I'll just keep it like an open mind, one way or another. I think that's fair.
They're dodging literally every single allegation, and you can't make that up. Point number 4, keep everyone at a 1KD and trick you into thinking you're better than that. So let's first talk about the recon.
Keep everyone at a 1KD. This kind of sounds like it's similar to League of Legends, where they basically try to keep you at a 50% win rate. So kill death ratio is not really as important in League of Legends. Your win rate is important. So that sounds kind of like a similar thing that's about to go on here.
Perks, so you can see where everyone is after you spawn, and for some reason all of the strongest perks are also part of that package. You got Ninja, Forward, Intel, Tracker, Ghost, Engineer, Vigilance, and Cold-Blooded all in the blue category. So that means if you run 3 of those perks, you're going to get a free recon. So why are we placing all the strongest perks in the blue sector? Now that could be a matter of opinion, but it just looks like if you have Ninja, Ghost, Cold-Blooded, and Vigilance in the same perk category, I bet they want you to use recon. And recon just lets people die right after they get a kill, and gives you no map advantage because the game's terrible. Next are the spawns, and the spawns are terrible.
Game's terrible, that's it. You heard it here first. Atrocious spawns.
They're completely random, and they're not designed to be read by the players. They're not designed to be understood.
So spawns are very, very important in Call of Duty. I mean, I think, once again, the OG CODs, man, they had it right. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was even playing COD 4 the other day on PC, or a few months ago, like, through Plutonium. And, like, dude, the games were just so intense. I remember I was playing on Downpour. It was like, I think it was a pretty stacked lobby, because I think on PC you can have more than like 12 players. You can have like up to like 18 or something, or even more than that. So it was like a ground war type game on Downpour, if you guys remember that map. Dude, it was so intense. It was like the middle point of the map. Like, you could not pass the middle point of the map, because it would keep spawning people in the back, and it would keep spawning your team, or keep spawning their team on the opposite side, your team on the opposite side. So there was like this middle ground that was it just felt like you were trying to fight for, like King of the Hill style. And then you could try if you got lucky, right? If you got lucky and made it past like the mounted machine guns and stuff, you could maybe make it into the back lines. But if you if you so you could like flank people, but if you were there too long and too many of your teammates come in, it'll flip the spawn so that they start spawning on the other side of the map, so you can't be in there too long, kind of thing. I don't know, it was just a really, really good balance. And then I did feel like when I was playing like some of the newer CODs, or not even really the new ones, it's kind of like when I stopped playing, so like 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, like I just felt like the spawns were like all over the place. And I would imagine it's only gotten worse, because I think I remember hearing that, what was it? It was one of the like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. There was like one of the games where everybody was like camping, right? Everyone was just like sitting in the corner camping because the maps are so freaking big, and then the spawn systems were really crazy. So I just think that having good spawns in the game and having like a rhythm and a flow that's consistent and predictable is really, really important. Even like Black Ops 1, I remember, was really good. I remember my friend, he was really, really good at Call of Duty. He was like one of the dudes always going to the like ranked events and stuff like that. And he was like teaching me the spawns and showing me like if you stand here at this specific point, it'll keep them spawn locked, and if you step forward, it'll change the spawns to over here. So I think that predictability is like a really good thing in my opinion, because it allows for people that have a deeper understanding of the game to like get better at the game, and then just like it's like a way of skill expression, I guess. But if it's like all over the place, if it's like unpredictable spawns that seem to get worse and worse once again as the game goes on, like if you're doing better kind of thing, then yeah, that's a little bit crazy to me. Sorry, that was kind of a long one, kind of a long-winded rant there.
But the players, they completely mess up the flow of a match, and they make it so you can't read the match flow properly.
Yeah.
This stifles better players because it gives them a lower KD because they have more difficulty reading the match.
It's harder for good players. Exactly. So it's like it's harder for good players because the good players traditionally back in the day, they will know the spawn points and they will know how to spawn lock you, and they will know how to rotate, and they'll know like what happens when they push too far, that you're spawning behind them kind of thing. So they'll know like the total flow of the map, and it just allows for the good players to really shine and once again have that good skill expression. But if it's just like chaotic and random, I mean, I don't know, bro. Like it can be fun to an extent depending on the game, but this is Call of Duty, right? It's not like it's like if it was Battlefield or something, or like a big open world map kind of game, okay, then random spawns is kind of whatever. But Call of Duty, at least at its core, in my opinion, should be like a 3-lane, predictable spawns, fast-paced kind of like win your gunfights sort of game, and then get to the right position at the right time kind of thing. And it sounds like, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that here if they're changing the spawns on you like this.
The maps are also awfully designed and clearly not 3-lane. These maps are designed for a 1KD experience.
Okay, let me look at this. So this is the thing, bro. I swear, didn't they say they were bringing back 3-lane COD? Like I can look at these maps right now, and they don't look like 3-lane COD to me. That I mean, maybe this one a little bit, but I don't know. Like if you were to like pull up any Black Ops 2 or Call of Duty 4 map and then compare them to these, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, and maybe it's in conjunction with how the maps are designed and how the spawn system is working. So I think it's just a twofold kind of problem. But just like off the rip, like these maps kind of look like not what I would expect, from like a 3-lane quote unquote COD.
Because they're so cramped and close together, and they're so disorganized and have too many lines of sight that it's almost impossible to go on a kill streak. Add the recon perk in there, and you start to see where I'm going with this. And then, to trick everyone into thinking they're actually better than they are, they make assists count towards eliminations. So at the end of the game, if you have 40 kills and 20 deaths, but actually 20 of those kills were just assists, you're gonna think you're a 2KD player, even though you're just a 1KD player.
Wait, what? I don't like that, man. I don't like when games reward you for bad gameplay or average gameplay. So like a big thing I remember I hated was, what was it? Painkiller in Modern Warfare 2, like those death streaks. I'm like, dude, why are bad players being rewarded right now? Like, we're stomping these kids. I get that they want to have a little bit of a comeback mechanic or something, but that was so annoying. So stuff like that. I mean, this doesn't really affect the in-game stuff if like your assists count towards KD, but that still does kind of, it gives like a false sense of like, oh, you did something good. But it's like, no, dude, if you should be feeling satisfaction when you're going like 40-5. You know what I mean? You're dropping like 40 kills and you only have 5 deaths. Not like this like assist thing contributing to your kill death ratio. That's just my opinion. I kind of like when there's a challenge, I guess is what I'm saying, because it's more rewarding when you like accomplish something.
So keep that in mind. They're literally lying to you with the stats in the game. So what they do is they design the maps bad on purpose, make the spawns completely unpredictable so the game's unreadable, and then add the little recon perk in there to make it even easier to get a kill once you spawn, and they lie to you.
So this is an interesting one, this overall point that he's making. I mean, this could be deliberately done, or it could just be that they suck, they like suck at map design, and or it could be like a combination of both. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I think that's a tough one to say. I don't know. That's a tough one to say because I feel like you would at least want to and try to make good maps to get people hooked. Because if the maps are just flat out bad, like regardless of all this other stuff, then I feel like you're gonna like have a high risk of turning players away from your game. But so yeah, it could. But the spawn one, that's an interesting one. I think that one's kind of up in the air. That could be like they're definitely manipulating the spawns in real time, sort of thing. Because like the map state, the map is already set. Like in terms of it's like it is a map that you are loading into that it's not going to change, right? But spawns is something that they can control mid game. So it could just be that they have bad map design, whether it be intentional or not, and then maybe the spawns are just also once again bad. But I feel like, dude, it's Call of Duty. Like they should know what good and bad spawns are. So I feel like that one is more of a high potential candidate for being something that's like manipulated by the engagement based matchmaking and skill based damage kind of stuff that's going on.
About your
recon perk, I can't speak much to this because once again I've never played this game, so I have no idea. He was explaining it before, but I was kind of zoned out. But it sounds like it's kind of like a crutch perk or something,
so that they can trick people into having a 1 KD, but make them think that they don't.
I mean, yeah, purposely lying about the true KD. That's just like that's something to like make players feel good about themselves. And once again, if you're like a try hard sweat nerd, then this won't fool you. But there's a lot of casuals out there who don't really care. Once again, they're coming back from work, they're relaxing, they just want to have fun. Right, God forbid they have fun on this game. You know, they got to take it like they got to be tryhards. You know, but yeah, if they see like a KD that's looking good, that's gonna make them feel pretty good about themselves, and yeah, that makes sense to me.
Have a 1 KD. And the last reason that this game is rigged is the suspicious usage of AI.
Okay,
we've proven
suspicious usage of AI. Now, AI once again is no joke. Like I don't know how familiar you guys are, but like, as a software engineer, like I use it every single day in my job for helping me with coding. Like it is very, very advanced for what it can do. It's very advanced for like what it can do with facial recognition. It's very advanced for just like outputting code and writing code for you. Obviously language generation and like, researching stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just very, very advanced. So I would not be surprised if they're somehow leveraging it in their game. Let's see. I'm kind of curious about this
prestige icons. Recently, we've discovered AI-generated skins that they say, "Hey AI, make this," and then we're going to sell it for $20. We've also got
interesting. Okay, so he's saying that they don't like, or the community doesn't really like when they produce something that's AI and then sell it. Okay, that's interesting. Because like for me, I don't really care as much about that. That's an interesting one because I care because I feel bad for like, yeah, we do want to like, it's a tough one actually. I don't know. Got to think about my thoughts on that one. Because I think if the skin looks cool, I don't really care if AI made it or not. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like if there's a weapon skin and it looks cool, I don't really care if it was a human that made it or AI that made it, at least in terms of like the satisfaction of looking at the skin. But I do feel like kind of grime. It almost feels like a little bit detached. Like, dang, bro, like a human didn't make this, and there wasn't that like nice little human touch to it. So then, in the back of my mind, I'll be thinking like, man, all this stuff feels kind of like fake and artificial. So that's an interesting one. I'll have to actually think about that more in general.
AI NPC profiling, which is another patent that basically reads how you play and then uses that to simulate a version of you that's a robot. We've got an AI chat bot that monitors all in-game chat and then bans you based on what it deems to be a...
Dude, the crazy thing also about all this is like, what if these are all just tools that are going to be used in real life later? Like they're just kind of like theory crafting it in games and getting all these algorithms to work properly. And then the next like phase 3 or phase 4 is going to be they introduce it to real life. And then they got all the AI robots that are walking around and based off of these algorithms that they trained in video games. That's also a very potentially real thing that could be happening.
Offensive or not. And last but not least, we've got AI generated maps, which Blame Truth basically proved in his last video. I'll link it in the description. And
so the problem once again with the AI stuff, in my opinion, it's like, okay, like AI generated maps, I don't know, like, because they can get I think AI generated maps could be, once again, it can be fun. It just depends on the game. If you're playing like No Man's Sky or like Minecraft or something, okay, AI generated might be a little bit fun. Or it could be good for like a baseline, like if you were to make a baseline map using AI as your starting point, that could be okay. But then just having that like human element of tweaking things to like, just to make it better and more like clean cut and pristine is, I think, like always going to be necessary, at least for now.
Put a heavy emphasis on hiring people that understand how to work with generative AI.
But I mean, once again, as a developer, I can tell you that, I don't know how to explain this, like AI is very prominent in development now, whether it be like the product side of things telling the developers they need to use AI, or it's the developers just using AI. Does that make sense? Like, so this is actually one of those areas where it could actually just be the developers who are, so it could be a result of many things, but one of them could be like Activision. Maybe let's say they go through some they fire people, what's it called, layoffs. So then you have a reduced number of developers. So then the developers have to take on the role, like they have to wear multiple hats now. So there's a chance that developers could be using these tools to kind of cut corners or to help assist and just implement stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's a very real kind of thing that's going on in the development community right now, where it's like, I as a developer can do so much more because I have these AI tools. Like I can be on the front end, the back end, the database, like in the platform, like DevOps kind of side of things. I can do all that myself with the assistance of AI. And then if that's the case, there's an increased likelihood that they might let go other people that aren't as passionate as me as a solo dev that's just getting everything done myself. Because once again, the product side doesn't really care about if you used AI or not. They just care about the output of the product kind of thing. So interesting. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling here. This is like a whole other topic in regards to AI that's just kind of fun to think about.
I wonder why. This game wasn't even made entirely by human beings. That's nuts. So just to summarize, the game rigs your
just to get used to that, guys. That is unfortunately our reality.
Hitbox health, spawns, nerfs you mid-match, boosts you when you buy skins, and then when confronted with these accusations, Activision squirmed and tried to dodge the question by using clever and manipulative language that didn't actually deny anything because they couldn't legally deny it. This includes the fact that matchmaking is engagement optimized and not skill-based, which tosses you predetermined matches in order to keep you addicted, and uses the manipulation of in-game parameters in order to give you the performance that the algorithm deems necessary. You only experience a tiny percentage of the player base because they want everyone at a 1 KD. If that happens, then nobody is killing or dying at a higher rate than somebody else. The maps are designed poorly on purpose, and the spawns are baked into the game engine, rendering them virtually unchangeable and designed to toss you certain results. Along with their blatant usage of AI to design in-game assets, it also appears that they profile you based on your playstyle and can emulate you as an AI character, which leads some conspiracy buffs to question whether or not you're actually playing against human beings, or if it's just an AI with their username that plays just like that person.
Yeah,
Call of Duty is the slot machine of
true.
video games. It makes perfect sense, and it's right in front of our faces. It's the game that gets the most flack for its predatory, inconsistent...
I mean, it's impressive when you think about it. Like, as much as we all hate this stuff, like, it is quite impressive to think of how far these like algorithms and AI have come. So I mean, it's just mind-blowing to me every day. Like every day, the AI and what you see being produced as a result of AI is just getting crazier and crazier. So it is respectfully cool and impressive, but at the same time, it kind of sucks when it comes to like enjoyment of a video game,
manipulative matchmaking, and it's the only game with skill-based damage accusations regularly tossed around. And it's the only game where huge creators that originally only abided by hard data and denied any of what's obviously right in front of our faces are finally starting to notice that something really weird is going on in regards to mid-match nerfing.
That's the thing. I think, like, at least from my other 2 videos that I posted, there seems to be like I don't know, what is it, like a impression or something that like a lot of the community members are like not speaking out against this stuff or something. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of fresh to the scene, so once again, I have no dog in the fight. So, but people felt like, oh, finally somebody is talking about this stuff and not just like sucking off Activision. So I mean, that's kind of unfortunate. That's a whole other thing too, probably. Like, if you have these content creators that are most likely sponsored with or paid, like they're being paid probably by Activision to promote the game, so they literally cannot say anything bad about the game. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. That's just kind of the vibe I was picking up on like my last 2 videos in the comment section, that it seems like there's a lot of people who are prominent figures or something that can't openly speak about this stuff, or they're like downplaying it or something. But I have no association or affiliation with any of that stuff, so I can say whatever I want, thank God.
Black Ops 6 is the culmination of all of these atrociously dishonest and immoral practices, and it's all for the sake of money. If Activision came out and denied anything I just said, straight up, without using any weird wording and directly saying I'm wrong, I would back down and admit I was wrong. But guess what? They've already tried to, and they failed miserably because they were trying to do damage control with lazy wording. And
he's willing to admit that he could be wrong if they just come out and say, hey, we're not doing that. So it's a good thing to have, guys. Remember, if you're wrong on something, gotta own up to it, kind of thing. But unfortunately, it seems that they will never come out openly and say directly that, hey, we're not doing any funny business, or we're not rigging your game. We're not rigging the games that you're playing in.
obvious legal speak that had cleared up zero suspicions that anyone with a functioning cranium
Once
actually...
again, I'll have to go back and look at this and kind of understand the context of the patents more with like this specific text on screen, because I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. But at the time, I was thinking that I'm like, okay, Activision is pretty like directly responding to the questions being asked. But I get the point that he was making once again about like, yeah, they're directly answering this, but they're leaving out a bunch of other context that's like present in the patents and stuff.
had. The evidence overwhelmingly points to this video being correct, and there's almost no evidence to support that everything I just mentioned is not in the game. So yeah, that'll do it. I just pulled back the entire veil of flashiness, nostalgia,
it's a pretty cool looking
and hype
map though, I gotta say. Like, I don't know how this map plays, but the aesthetic of this map looks kind of cool.
to reveal the most conniving and manipulative gaming experience ever conceived on...
Let's see, I'm trying to look at this too. Somebody said the other day, or in the other video, that they show your... Wait, do they even show your kills? Like, what's going on here? Because I remember before I was asking, like, do they show your deaths? But I don't even see the kills here. What's going on? Or is this just like a score-based kind of game mode, so they're only showing score?
planet Earth, maybe besides casinos. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Prime Pete. Take it easy.
Take it easy, Prime Pete. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting video. I mean, he's got a lot to say, and I think I gave my 2 cents all the way throughout, so I don't really know what else I can add. But yeah, cool video, man. Like, I'm kind of curious to see how people's positions are as the time goes on, and if Activision comes out and actually openly says something one way or another. I mean, yeah, still overall, like, once again, as my developer perspective, I would say that all of this stuff is 1000% doable, and I would say it's like 95% probable, you know what I mean, in terms of like, because a lot of people are going to be questioning, well, like, why would they implement this? They're going to waste so much time developing this, and they don't have the fun, like, they don't have the time for this, yada yada yada. But it's like, dude, like, they recycle the same game every year for like, what, 10 plus years now, since like 2007. So like, they do have a lot of time to allocate resources to these other things, right? Because it's like they already have like a formula that works, and they're able to build off of it. And then with that, once again, just comes the ability to focus on other things like these matchmaking, the engagement-based matchmaking and stuff like that. So it's very possible, and it's gonna always come down to like, does it make money or does it not make money? Unfortunately, with these kind of things, it's like they're looking at the track record over the past, decade plus, and they're seeing like, okay, like, we can churn out the same sort of thing, even if people complain about it, but we're still making money. So like, the only way to combat this kind of stuff is to just stop playing the game. You have to switch to something else. Like, you have to get into a position where you are not feeding them money, and then that they have no incentive to keep doing these sort of things, if that makes sense. Because like, what happens when you guys all switch to another game, like whatever, I think you guys were saying X Defiant was a popular one, or like Iron Sight, or I'm going to be trying to make a game too, so you guys can check that out later. But yeah, what if you guys switch to like those games, and then Call of Duty suddenly loses all their money, or they lose a big chunk of their money? So then they're going to switch up whatever it is they're doing to cater to the customer. But yeah, it's unfortunate, because you're going to have a bunch of like people who just don't care about this stuff, and they're going to keep buying Call of Duty anyway, so I get it. But anyways, that's kind of my thoughts for this video. I might have rambled a bit on this one, but it was kind of fun to watch and interesting. And go check out this dude's channel, Prime Pete. I'm sure you guys probably all know about him, as he seems to be pretty well known. But peace, guys. See ya.